most guitarists do not do that, and that's why they kind of sound sloppy, and I think they give, guitarists a bad rap because they're, a lot of times the most confident ones too, which is a real issue. A lot of times the only difference between a novice hobbyist guitarist and the pros that we see and hear and look up to, it's just the way that they spend their practice time. In this video, I'm going to go over a bunch of practice habits that will help to transform your playing and help you to sound like a pro. Incorporating practice for your picking hand. As guitarists, we're a lot of times fixated on what we're doing with our fretting hand, and that's great, but there's also a completely separate thing going on with our picking hand, whether you're using a pick or finger picking. There's so much that goes into playing guitar that's based around your picking, and I think it's really important to spend some time focused on that and developing that skill as well, because in my opinion it's just as important as whatever's going on with your fretting hand. So incorporating some type of right hand practice into your practice routine can be a great way to help to transform your playing and make you a better guitarist. I do have an alternate picking warm-up that I use pretty regularly. If you want to check out that video after watching this, it's a great way to get into incorporating some type of practice into it. Just as a quick overview though, it's basically covering up the strings and then running through an alternate picking exercise going through each of the strings. So that's a great way to get into the habit of doing that, and I think it's important to do that every day. And you'll really notice a benefit. When I started doing this regularly, I felt so much more comfortable, and it almost makes it something where you don't have to think about the picking at all. That's something that really will help to clean up your playing, address your weaknesses as a guitarist. I'm as guilty as anybody with this. It's way more fun and enjoyable to just pick up the guitar and just noodle and have fun and just kind of play and not think. And that's important to do, but it's also important every now and then to go in and assess what your weaknesses are and address those weaknesses. You spend too much time doing the same things over and over and just playing what you're already good at. Sure, it's going to help to reinforce that, and you're going to continue to build that skill, but you're also neglecting areas that can help to make you a more well-rounded player and just make you a better player overall. So it's important to incorporate those into your practice. I'm not saying you have to sit down every single day, although it would benefit you. I'm not saying you have to go crazy and, multiple hours a day, just, going crazy over these things, but definitely a couple minutes every now and then. I like to do these types of things like kind of first thing when I pick up the guitar and I'm ready to put in some time, just to get them out of the way, get them over with. It's a great warm-up, and then once you kind of take that pressure off, you'll first of all, you just feel better throughout the day because you kind of put in some work, but also I feel like it's a great warm-up for the rest of your day, and I feel like it makes you kind of get into the swing and groove of things. So addressing weaknesses, very important. Record your playing. So I've talked about this in other videos, but recording your playing is a great way for you to get pretty instant feedback and will help you to determine things that you're doing really well and things that you need to work on. So this will kind of piggyback on the addressing the weaknesses thing. This is one way you can figure out figure out the areas that you're lacking in. So this is super easy. You don't have to go crazy and fund an entire home studio or something, or go out to a professional studio. But like today, we all have the voice recorder apps on our phone that usually come already preloaded there. Just pull that thing up, set it down, press record, and then play for a couple minutes. Just do something that you've been working on for a bit, something that you're working on that day. Just play, or just record that while you're playing. Stop, and then after you're done playing, or even right there, just listen back and see how it sounds. Now you have to be objective. You can obviously be, you could do it in a positive way. You don't have to constantly beat yourself down over it, but it's good to be objective and actually trust your ear and how it sounds and be like, okay, does this sound the way I want it to sound? Are there areas where I can improve on? And then from there, you can figure out, okay, if there's one section that you're feeling like you're lacking in, just go and drill that section for a couple minutes. If there's something you're noticing where you're dragging the time or something, go back and play it to a metronome and drill it that way and get better at it that way. So this is a great way to get like instant feedback. It costs nothing, other than maybe a couple extra seconds of pressing record on your phone and then just going back and listening to it. And it'll get you some instant feedback. That way you can start to guide your future practice sessions from there. Another way you can help to figure out those weaknesses and address them is by doing something like keeping a practice journal. So this would be going through every day you're playing and just making a note. This is not something you have to go crazy down to the microsecond of like what you've done, but I like to do something like I just write down just in a sequence. I write down the amount of time that I spent in that session, and then I just write down some of the things I worked on in that session, and then I write which guitar I was using or amp or something, or if I was recording plugged in DI. And then it's a great way to kind of tally up the amount of time that you're spending each day on each specific thing. So, there's times where it might feel like we're playing a lot, and then you go down to your notes and you realize it's like an hour and a half of just like random noodling and playing and not really focusing down, and that's fine. But you start to do that over the weeks, and then you realize, you look back and you start to feel like, okay, why do I feel like frustrated, and why do I feel like I'm not really improving or something? And then you go back to your notes, and the notes are not going to lie to you, and you're going to see that you're probably getting a little bit lazy with your practice. So it's a good way to keep yourself honest, so that there's no excuse, and you can't lie to yourself, and you realize that it's your own fault for not sitting down and actually working on the things you need to work on. So this is something I've been doing for a little over a year now. I plan on making a video because I have about a year's worth, maybe a little more than that, of my practice. So I want to tally up the amount of time I spent and go back and kind of be honest and see how much time I spent and if it was worth it, and go into just the practice of keeping a practice journal too, just as a guide. So, but very important. And this was actually something, it's really funny, one of my first guitar teachers told me this over 20 years ago about keeping the practice journal, and I started it for a week, and then I stopped doing it, and then 20 years later I finally started to take his advice and realized, okay, that probably was the right thing to be doing, but better late than never, I guess. This tip's probably the most important. You've probably heard me say it before, but you need to play guitar every day. This is really the key, I think, to taking you from that, hobbyist kind of beginner phase into someone who's going to take this more seriously and make this a real part of your life. So I noticed when I did this, when I kind of just committed to doing it every day, and I'm not saying it has to be 3 hours a day, just 15, 20 minutes of playing the guitar every day, you're going to notice within something as little as a week, I feel like you start to everything starts to feel easier. Your comfort with the instrument, your chops, your familiarity, that's all it's so just right there. So every time you pick up the guitar, there's not this real adjustment period. You just get into a groove, and you really need that to build any type of skill. And so playing guitar is no different. So I highly recommend every day sitting down and setting aside some time to do something with the guitar. And then from there, building that habit over time, then we can start to incorporate these other areas that we can help to really take advantage of that time that you're sitting down every day. But at the very least have some dedicated practice every day, and you're going to notice so much improvement over time. And that's, I think, the real key to becoming a real pro guitarist, is having that professional mentality of wanting to do it every day, and that discipline to do that. Another tip, minimize the gear and the pedals and the electronics. And I'm looking right now at my pedals and stuff and trying to remind myself of this as well, but it's important to focus on learning the guitar and not learning how to tweak the knobs and the pedals and wasting time on that. Not doing that too much. You can do that some of the times, but doing it every single time and spending the majority of your practice time, which I'm very guilty of that in the past, and I'm really trying to be conscious of that. It's not going to help you become a better guitarist. I don't care what the all the pedal videos and all these amp videos and gear videos are trying to tell you. That is no substitute to actually just playing the guitar. So at the very least, just plug straight into the amp. Don't worry about anything about that. Just get it to amplify the guitar. It can go as basic as just playing your guitar unplugged or just an acoustic guitar. There's a lot of ways you can get really quality practice, and that's, I think, the most important thing to get better as a guitarist, is to understand we're learning how to play guitar, not learning how to play the pedals and the gear. The more you focus on that and just being able to get better at just the guitar, all the other stuff is just going to help to, it's kind of just the icing on the cake, but you really need to learn the guitar before you do all that stuff. And when I'm conscious of that and I'm actively, doing that, I notice a real improvement. So I think it's a great thing for anybody to really take their playing to the next level. Another tip, use a metronome while you're practicing. So metronomes can be kind of controversial, and I know there's, for some reason, I don't really understand why, but some people are against them entirely. I've gotten a lot of benefit out of using them over the years, and I noticed my chops got a lot better, and I felt much more, my playing was much more rhythmic and just more professional sounding. These days it's really simple because our phones, we can get these free apps. Super easy, straightforward. Just set a tempo and just kind of go and play. And this is a great way you can test the stuff you've been working on. It's a real instant way you can kind of test to see, okay, how well have I grasped what I've been learning, and how well can I play it? And when you set a metronome, the great thing to do too is to record yourself while you're doing it with the metronome, and you can kind of really easily tell, all right, do I really have a good grasp of this? Can I play this in time? And do I have a good groove here, or am I kind of clunky and dragging or speeding up? The metronome will really help you with that. And I find it's very helpful for these, picking exercises as well. It's a very important thing to, emphasize playing in time, no matter what you're doing, with the guitar. I think the, rhythmic side of things is so important. And there's, most guitarists do not do that, and that's why they kind of sound sloppy. And I think they give, guitarists a bad rap because they're, a lot of times the most confident ones too, which is a real issue. If you're, really serious about becoming a really great guitarist and musician, you got to prioritize your rhythm as well. And a metronome is a really quick and easy way to do that. If you did enjoy the video, it'd be great if you could give a thumbs up. I have a bunch of other guitar content, slide guitar content on my channel. If that's something that interests you, it'd be great if you can consider subscribing to the channel and helping the channel grow. And I'll catch you in the next video. Thank you.